What's up, nerds and nerdettes and we little nerdlings all? Your buddy Big Johnny G from where? Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming! Alright, now we just finished another game. Today is the first time we played this game as well. It's been sitting on the shelf for a few months. We've been really waiting to get to it, and we finally did. So why don't we go down to the table, check out and see who stayed, who wants to talk about this. I'm waiting to hear their opinion. Totally, I'm waiting. And I sat there with them. I still want to hear what they got to say. All right, let's go check it out. All right, so as we see here, we got Alex and we got Ryan. So, we just finished our very first game of Baldur's Gate by Avalon Hill, the Betrayal game, the skinning of the great and the classic Betrayal at the House on the hill.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is sitting right up there.
Right over there.
So, what did you guys, first of all, first thing I want to know is, what do you guys think about the fact that we take a 1930s era set game and reskin it as Dungeons and Dragons?
I thought it worked. I thought it worked really, really well. I kind of love the fantasy setting. So anything set in like fantasy era, like I always dig it, and I thought it worked well for this style of game. There's not many things that you probably think you could adapt from a 1930s style to a fantasy setting, but for this particular play style of a game, it worked out really, really well because everything was sort of reset to that theme, and items from the Dungeons and Dragons universe and monsters from the Dungeons and Dragons universe were used in this, so it worked well. It worked really, really well for this.
Yeah, I think the reskinning, the retheming worked pretty well. I still think it's very evident that it's
just a reskin
from with like the omens in particular, and then it's the same symbology. Like the omens events and the items have the same symbols, and they were joking about the items as the skull head, which is very Western.
It's like a very cow head skull. Yeah,
it's what you'd expect to find taxidermied on the wall in a haunted mansion. Like, so that's kind of funny, but overall it works well. It's not there's not really a disconnect.
The biggest difference that we noticed and you pointed out was about the tile building. So in Betrayal, at the House on the Hill, there's 3 levels in which you explore. There's the main level, there's the basement, and then there's the attic. Here we just get the street level, which consists of the building tiles and the actual street tiles themselves, and then there's the catacombs, which is all just the new catacombs tiles. But even with that change, I mean, it fits thematically because it's like you can't really get a 3rd level up when you're in a city, so that's why it works out that they kind of combined the attic and the base level into the cityscape, and then they just kept the basement and reskinned it as catacombs in like sewers and things like that. So that ended up working out really well too.
Yeah, and I feel like this didn't sprawl quite as much as Betrayal at the House on the Hill, and that I think combining those 2 levels was part of that.
Agree.
Because we did get out a good portion of those tiles too.
Yeah, we started somewhere over there, and we started here, and then ended up expanding out this whole thing. Yeah, there was only 3 street tiles left, 2 catacombs tiles. We didn't really get to the buildings too much, but
I mean that's one of the things to keep in mind with this and Betrayal at the House on the Hill is you need a big table.
Table space.
I mean, I love the games, both of them, but yeah, you need the table.
Well, tile builders generally do that. There's a couple of games that we've played that have been tile builders that it does end up taking up a lot of room. So you want to make sure that you keep everything that you don't necessarily need out in front of you. Like you definitely want to keep all your little chits or little things contained and off to the side as much as you can. And even when you're building out your item, like when you're getting items and things, you want to make sure you keep it kind of off to the side or directly in front of you and kind of bunched up, so that way you don't end up having too much overlap. It wasn't until the very last tile that we drew that we just did a little overlap, and the only reason why we did that is because we knew we were about to end the game.
To win the game,
yeah. So it was like, okay, we'll just put this on top and we'll know that that's there. So it ended up working out perfectly fine. As far as mechanics go, I mean, it's identical to Betrayal. So if any of you have played Betrayal House of the Hill, this is the same game. just with that reskin?
I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, the items are different in this for
That's
sure.
true.
I mean, so the cards, they've reskinned the game, but they've also rebuilt everything. So the cards seem different. I'm not recognizing a whole lot of crossover in the cards. I mean, it's been a while since I played Betrayal: The House on the Hill, so I'm not sure. In this scenario that we played, I don't recognize it from the original game. Granted, there were 50 scenarios in that and 50 in the expansion, so it wouldn't be hard to slip one past me because I didn't play them all.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, I mean, it definitely fit the theme of the game, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, this is just, you know, they changed rats to monsters and call it good.
Yeah.
So,
and for anyone who hasn't played Betrayal or Betrayal Baldur's Gate, the way that it works is that you start out as a group of... its best played was... It says 3 to 6. We find that it's probably best played with 5. For 4 to 5 is usually the best. Because it starts out, you're all working together, you're all just kind of exploring the area, trying to get items and you know, explore some of the spots and uncover a lot of the areas until you get to what's called the Haunt, and that triggers after you pull a certain number of omen cards. After these are pulled, you roll after that. If you roll a total of a 6 or higher on these special printed dies, which have blanks, 1s, or 2s, that's when you trigger the Haunt, and that's what goes into the next phase of the game, which is one of your players, one of those 4 or 5 people, ends up becoming the person you're playing against. In most cases,
yeah, typically.
there are a few that you just play against the board. You continue playing against the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Betrayal Baldur's Gate has any that
I don't know.
is against the game or not. I know the original had a handful of scenarios that were, but typically one of the characters turns and very frequently hits the person who drew the last omen card.
Yeah,
not
usually.
always.
Not always, but
So, which is nice too, because if it's always the same person, you can be like, oh man, guy's going for omen cards. gotta watch out for Ryan. He's really going for those omen cards. Yeah, so it's nice that it isn't that predictable on who's going to change.
So you think there's room on a gamer's shelf for both? Or do you think it's redundant?
I think it's different enough where, I'll say that if you're a fan of Dungeons & Dragons, and you already have Betrayal, or vice versa, if you have this and you're a fan of, like, the 1930s set, like, you know, games, then I think that it is worth having. If you have to pick one, I would say go with whatever. If you like fantasy, then go with this. If you like, your more typical, like, you know, sort of Cthulhian era, like a Mythos era, like the 1930s, 1940s setting, then go with Betrayal.
Yeah,
House on the Hill.
It depends on how much you play it. If you've played all the scenarios in the original, this is more scenarios. It's the board's different, which is cool. So you're not exploring the same places that you've been exploring for 50 scenarios or whatever it is. If you're looking to get one or the other, I'd get one or the other. I don't know that you need both unless you really love the games and play them a lot. Mm-hmm. There's 50 scenarios to get through, so it's gonna take a lot of playthroughs to go through them.
And with the expansion for Betrayal, there's also
another 50.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a ton of scenarios. So, I think the two are kind of redundant. But I love this type of game. I love both games, so I would be happy to have both on my shelf. If I could get it out to the table.
It can be one of those games that takes a while, especially. You also need to have the right number of players as well, because if you have 3, it's going to be a little rough to have the one person turn and have the 2 people continue on playing against it. That can get a little.
In the original game, I don't think I've ever. I think it was only 2 or 3 times I played with 3 players in it.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
It's. I feel like the more players you have, the better the balance tends to work out.
Yeah.
Because when it's 2 versus 1, it's pretty. It doesn't work as well balance wise because it's typically the trader's trying to kill off the heroes and
there's only 2 of you. Then it's like that. Likely, it's going to be at least one of you goes down, if not both of you.
And if the one has happened early and you haven't stocked up on stuff, it's.
Well, and some of the haunts. Typically, there's a scaling element in all the scenarios.
Yeah.
In this one, it was the number of adventurers determined the number of monsters that came out. Some of them, it's like the number of turns you have to win, in the original game at least. So there is some scaling, but I think more players works better, and it's just more fun. This is just a game that is more fun to have more people around the table.
Yeah.
So you can really gang up properly against that traitor.
It's very true.
So, final thoughts.
But I like this game a lot. I liked it just as much as I liked the original version. I love the fantasy theming of it. I love the D&D universe. I'm trying to get more into it, and so this was a nice kind of addition into that world. We're looking forward to playing it again because obviously there's a ton of more scenarios to get through. So I'm looking forward to giving it another shot. Maybe trying out one of the other characters, and overall excellent.
Yeah. That's something we missed because there's special abilities on these
right,
characters,
yeah.
and I don't remember that in the original game.
No, that's not there.
And that's cool that each of the characters are even more different than they were before. I mean, they all start with different stats, so both sides of each character. So there's six minis in the game, and each mini has 2 characters that can be played with that mini. So it's cool to add that extra variety to it beyond just the dwarf barbarian starts with 3 sanity and the dwarf fighter starts with 4 you know, so they actually have a special ability that adds a little more diversity into the game, which is a very good addition.
And it also once again fits the theme where it's like sort of everyone, these characters in this world have innate abilities that they've either learned or that they have from their race or whatever.
I think this is a successful reskinning of Betrayal at the House on the Hill. So it's as good as the original. I like some of the additions that they've made, like as I just mentioned, the special character abilities. I'm interested to see if they have to do a giant errata rulebook like they did for the original game, which if you had the second printing, it was all included.
Yeah.
But the original game, they actually did a complete errata for the Traitor's Tome and the Survivor's Tome. So I'm hoping they don't have to make any big changes like that to this.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I think this is probably playtested enough.
Yeah, we've only ended up running into a couple of questions that we thought, wait, what is exactly this again? And we ended up realizing, it's actually in the rule, but we just have to read a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's why that's always a good sign. If everything's answered within that, you don't have to go searching for anything, and it's like, okay, that's a sign that everything's working out really, really well.
Now, Rob has already left, but he played the game with us as well, and Rob loved this game. He's looking forward to playing it again, so he definitely gave it a thumbs up.
Yep.
Anthony's in the other room cooling off because it is really, really hot here in New York City, especially in the nerd wasteland right now. But Anthony gave it a complete thumbs up, the two of you and myself. So 5 for 5 thumbs up as a first impression on this. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are into D&D and this looks at all interesting to you, I would get this. If you're not into D&D, there's Betrayal at House on the Hill. So you got options, and they're both fantastic.
They're both excellent games, yeah.
All right, excellent. Thank you guys very much for sharing your opinions. All right, everyone, thank you all for checking us out. Thank you for subscribing to Two Gun Pixie. Thank you for sharing our videos. Thank you for giving us all the love that you do. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G with Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. And my friends, it is true, I am out of here.